Commanders hire Dan Quinn to match with their new general manager, Adam Peters, to lead this franchise into the future.
The way that we live is not for everybody, okay? It's not, all right? Because we're going to run and put our bodies on people in a violent manner.
Whether the team is giving us the highest of highs or the bluest of blues, we'll cover it all here on Commanders Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. Well, that wasn't fun, or at least it was slightly fun until about the fourth quarter when it wasn't. Commanders defense fights. Unfortunately, the Commanders offense was a no-call, no-show, and the Commanders fall to the Philadelphia Eagles 26-18 on Thursday Night Football, dropping them to 7-4 on the season, their first two-game losing streak of the year, and now falling a game and half behind the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC East. A lot of bad coming from last night's outcome, but there is a silver lining. The team now will have 10 days to rest, and I think I've been talking about this rest for the last 3 days now. I mean, it was abundantly clear to me that this team was tired against the Steelers, let alone having to turn around 4 days later and do it again. Absolutely, the team looked lethargic, especially on the offensive side. The play calling looked very out of sorts, and I am not of the mindset that Cliff Kingsbury is suffering from the back end of the season issues that people say plagues him as a play caller. When teams start adjusting the things that he's doing, he can't then make the adjustment to the adjustment. I'm not seeing that. This was a bad game for him. I do feel that. But I also will acknowledge it was a short week. And so maybe he's not good in these short weeks with preparation and, having to divvy up his time between the Steelers game and then not really having a full work week and an opportunity to really game plan for the Eagles. And he struggled with it. I can't say, but it definitely looked like the short week impacted his play calling for sure. A lot of, questions following this game, and we'll have to wait for the answers until we play this Eagles team again, because honestly speaking, I don't think you're going to get answers from throttling teams like the Cowboys, the Titans, or the Saints. Like, we've done that already this season. We've beat teams like that. Now, trust me, I want to see them do that again, right? I want to see them beat up on the little sisters of the poor, because I told you yesterday that if they don't, then I really start to worry. I'm not worried right now. I told you already before this game took place that I felt like we were going to win the final 6 games of the season. The question was, could we find a way to get the one on Thursday night? And unfortunately, we didn't. And that wasn't a disappointing outcome from the standpoint of effort or, we didn't show up at all and we got blown out and we didn't look like we belong. That was disappointing from the standpoint of we didn't look like we were quite on the level of the Eagles, because when we had our opportunities, we couldn't take advantage. And once the Eagles started to take control of the game, we had no answers to stop them, essentially. So I still came out of that game saying, oh, no. I think we can beat them the next time we play them. That was bad. I don't think we can compete with them. And then there's, no. I think we can beat them the next time we see them. We're going to have to make some changes and we're going to have to be a lot better. But guess what? Now we have the film. I think we'll be healthier. And I think we have a chance to be a better team. You have a full week to prepare for them. I think there will be a vastly different approach to the Eagles the next time we see them than this particular game. But can't go into a game and give your best receiver 2 targets. You can't go into the game and have your quarterback throw the ball 10 more times than you run it. That's not our formula. That's not what we do. It should be the other way around. We should be running it 32 times and Jaden throwing it 22 times. That's how we operate. Again, the play calling was kind of out of sorts, out of whack. The calls that they did call for the run game seemed to be really, really bland and vanilla. They came out with the game plan, and then after that, they kind of got away from it. I talked about that last night, so we really don't need to get into all of that again. But what we do need to get into is the keys to victory, and how we fared there. And spoiler alert, not very good. Not very good. So these are usually a big indicator as to how we fared in the game. My keys haven't been wrong pretty much all season long. When we've scored well on the keys, we've won, and usually it's been a blowout. When we haven't scored well on the keys, it's usually a loss. And this is no different. And surprisingly enough, this is the lowest total of the season in the keys to the victory, and yet we only lost this game by 8. Obviously, we were down 16, and we scored a touchdown in garbage time. But hey, look, an 8-point loss feels a lot better than a 16-point loss. I tell you that much. Jaden Daniels almost threw a pick to Chauncey Gardner-Johnson at the end of the game. I'm so glad he didn't catch it, because had he caught it, that would have been his second pick of the game, and we would have lost this game by 16 points, and that looks a lot worse than 20. I'd much rather you have to recover an onside kick than you be able to run out the clock taking knees after an interception to hold us to 10 points. Like, that's disgusting. So, first offensive key, be a top 5 rush offense. I talked about how this offense all season long have been good on the ground. Even in the games where it didn't feel like it, they stuck to it. Like when we played Cincinnati, we didn't run it well. Brian Robinson Jr. didn't have a great game. I think he had 16 rushes for 31 yards, right? Something to that effect. But we didn't stop running the football, right? Between he, Eckler, and Jeremy McNichols and Jaden Daniels, I think we still had 30 some odd rushes and 170 yards rushing on the ground or whatever, or 140 yards on the ground, whatever the case may be. That's when Jaden's legs were a lot more active and a much bigger part of the offense. I've alluded to this in the past, that I think his injury has really limited him in that facet. We will talk about his injury in particular on Monday. I really want to stress that on Monday. We'll save that because next week's going to be kind of a funky week. I guess they'll get back to a normal work week next week, but because we don't have a game to talk about on Monday and Tuesday like we normally do, I'll save that for Monday. But we didn't run the football with the regularity that I would like to see first and foremost. Again, we had 23 rushes, I believe, in the game for 97 yards, which is well below our season average, and the amount of carries well below our season average. But also have to take into consideration when you go like 3 of a million on third down, that limits the amount of snaps you have, and it also limits the amount of opportunities you have to run the football. So those are all things that are baked into that total. But if you were more successful running the football, and if you were more consistent, and you were also more diverse in how you ran it, I think you would have gotten more first downs, and then you would have had more opportunities. So it's really the chicken or the egg. But the bottom line is we just didn't run it well. Simple as that. The biggest possession of the game, down 12-10. We moved the football down the field, and then we got into a second and inches. I still like that play just is etched in my memory bank, because Brian Robinson Jr., I really truly believe, screwed us. And even after that, you still need a better play call from Cliff Kingsbury on 3rd and 1. And then an execution, by the way, by the offensive line, not to allow the Eagles defensive front to blow up the play for a loss of 1, to put you in a 4th and 2 that you ultimately go for. And then it looks like one of the worst play calls we've seen all season. So poor execution on that one as well. Cosme's pulling. He bumps into Jaden Daniels, who then, muffs the football and then panics. And I don't know what the hell the play was supposed to be, but clearly it didn't go the way that it was supposed to go. So it was a shit show, nonetheless. We looked like anything but a top 5 rush offense. We looked mediocre in terms of our ground game, and got to credit the Eagles for that, but also just inferior play calling and a really, really poor day executing on the offensive line. It was just bad all the way around. And again, that's where you really need to give the Eagles credit. Their defensive line was just active and kicking our ass pretty much all night long, it felt like. Protect Jaden and the Duke. Jaden was sacked several times, hurried 12 times, I believe, pressured 14 times, hit probably 8 or 9 times in the game. Like, they didn't protect him. He didn't feel protected, and he didn't do himself any favors either. But he wasn't protected the way he needed to be, the way he had been earlier this season. And then obviously he threw the pick, so you didn't protect the Duke. We put the ball on the carpet with Austin Eckler as well. Luckily enough for us, Michael Walker was able to recover, but we didn't do a good job taking care of the football like we normally do. And so that was really frustrating. So, of course, no points there either. Big step. That might have been Sam Cosmi's worst game of the last 2-3 years. He was not good in this game. Terry McLaurin we saw the return of cardio McLaurin, which we never want to see, right? It's one of our, worst fears is seeing cardio McLaurin return to the field. We had that on Thursday night, so that was really disappointing. Jaden didn't play like one of them ones, and we know he is. And again, we'll talk about that injury on Monday, but he didn't give us what we needed to be successful in this game. And so none of the offensive guys that were big steppers stepped up. Sam Cosmi didn't step up. Jaden Daniels didn't step up. Terry McLaurin didn't step up. And when those three, the pillars of your offense, don't show up and show out, you're going to find it very hard to win football games. This team is not good enough to overcome their three best offensive players all laying an egg in the same game. They're not going to do it. So no points there, obviously. And then unsung hero. I said I need a hero, and I give us a half a point there because Austin Eckler tried to step up and be that guy. Had nearly 100 yards receiving, 89 on 8 catches. He was largely responsible for any success we had on any drive. There was probably an Austin Eckler big catch and run somewhere at some point. Eck did a lot of good things in this game, had a good kick return as well. There was no one else, honestly. It was just Austin Eckler on offense. He tried. Ertz came on late, but it was too little too late, right? So I gave us a half a point there for Eckler trying to be that guy. Defensive keys. All hands on deck. Laser-like focus. Gave us a check there. I thought the defense had all hands on deck. I thought there was laser-like focus. We communicated well in the game. There weren't a bunch of defensive breakdowns. I counted one defensive breakdown when Dallas Goedert got behind the defense and made that big catch and run, but was, forced to fumble by Quan Martin, but still recovered by the Eagles and Grant Calcaterra. But outside of that play, there really weren't a bunch of explosives where guys were just running wide open. Any big plays that the Eagles got were either Saquon Barkley runs towards the end of the game or catch and runs on slants by either A.J. Brown or Smitty. So I thought they did a really good job of having that laser-like focus and all hands being on deck, especially early in the game, stopping the run against Saquon Barkley. Disrupt, harass, and sack Jalen Hurts. I gave us a check there, too. I thought they did a really good job, especially in the first 3 quarters. They banged that man up pretty good. He had to go into the the blue tent to be evaluated for a concussion. They sacked him 3 times, I believe, in the game. He was running around. He made plays as Jalen Hurts. He's going to make plays with his legs if you don't keep the proper contain and rush discipline, which Dorrance Armstrong got up the field a couple of times. But all in all, I thought we disrupted him, which is why they didn't have the big plays in the past game. We harassed him, which is why he threw it away and wasn't comfortable early. And then we sacked him. We made some plays, which gave us a chance. Next defensive key: limit Saquon Barkley and the explosive plays. I gave us no credit for this one. Even though the defense fought their asses off and held Saquon in check for roughly 3 quarters, 2 touchdowns in 2 minutes or 30 seconds or whatever it was. You can't let go of the rope. They let go of the rope. And really disappointed in that, because you turned what was a solid night stopping the run into another big performance that's going to have us as one of the worst run defenses in football. Really disappointed in the inability to continue to fight late despite being tired, offense not helping you out. I get all of that. Find a way. And they didn't. And that's where the real explosives came from. As I mentioned, Goddard had an explosive. Smitty had one on a catch and run, and so did A.J. Brown, I believe. But that was it for those guys. And none of them were like 40 or 50, 60 yarders. None of that. The biggest play they had was the last Saquon Barkley touchdown run. But those happened. Both of the touchdown runs happened. And really disappointed. So no credit there. And then finally, ball is life. Special teams be special. I gave us half credit. We did not force a turnover, so that the ball was not life on Thursday night. But I thought the special teams was really solid. I thought obviously they missed kicks and things of that nature, and I thought we were really solid in the special teams department. So I gave us half credit there. But special teams didn't make a play, but they also didn't hurt us, and they did a pretty good job of keeping the Eagles in check as well. So you tally it all up, and it's a season low 3 points out of a potential 8. A half point on the offensive side and 2.5 points on the defensive side. So normally with a score like 3, you're usually getting your brains bashed in, like we did on Thursday Night Football last year against the Bears. Normally that's the type of outcome that happens, and we were dangerously close to that happening at the end of the game, right? When it got to 26-10. That's probably what the score should have been, with the score being a 3 out of 8. You're probably more along the lines of a 26-10 loss than a 26-18 loss. But it's all the same. All counts as one loss, whether you lose by 1 or 51. It's just one game. So disappointed, but there's a silver lining. We get a much needed break. And you know what? As a fan myself, I need a break. I'm going to enjoy this Sunday. Not being stressed, not having to, lock in, just being able to just take in the other games and enjoy the Sunday for what it is, right? I need the break too. I need to be able to recharge the battery as well. So looking forward to this short but very sweet sabbatical that we'll be on over the weekend, and then we'll jump right back into it. It's Cowboys week, right? And it doesn't have the exact same meaning it once did, but we got to have it. And they're standing in the way, and we got to go get it. So can't win 6 in a row without winning 1 first. Starts with Dallas. We got to get back on track, snap this losing streak. And so we'll turn the page to the Cowboys at some point next week, more likely than not Wednesday. So let's go to In Other News, where we'll talk about some standouts from Thursday night's game, and then we'll get into the snap counts before getting out of here. I want to talk about a couple of guys in particular, because there weren't many bright spots on Thursday night, especially on the offensive side. It's really disappointing on that side of football. And there weren't many things that you could walk away from the game hanging your hat on the offensive side on Thursday night. But defensively, vastly different story. You walked away probably feeling a hell of a lot better about this defense than you did going into the game. Again, I think the consistency or lack thereof is something that still is very striking with this defense, because still from week to week, we don't know what to expect from this defense. That's part of the reason why we were so surprised by their play, especially early on in this game, because we don't know if they're going to give up an opening possession touchdown, which they really have been pretty good on the opening possession here of late. Got the Eagles off the field, I think, with a missed field goal. Steelers went 3 and out. I think the Giants turned it over on their opening possession, and we picked the Ravens off in week number 6, or the Bears. I know they went 3 and out on their opening possession. The Panthers, we got a turnover, a pick 6 on theirs, and then the Ravens, we got a pick on their opening possession. So, and then we didn't. I think the Browns went 3 and out on theirs. So the last time we gave up an opening possession touchdown was week 4 against Arizona. Coincidentally enough, that's also the last time we ourselves scored an opening drive touchdown. So the defense has been really good in that regard, and they were again on Thursday night, holding the Eagles to a field goal attempt that they ultimately missed. I think we have 2 foundational pieces defensively right now that I think most of us feel really good about. Mike Sainristil, as a second-round pick right now, looks like a straight dog, an absolute steal of a pick, which we all knew he was good, and we all were excited. I was extremely excited, but we all thought about him in a nickel frame of mind, but thrusted into action because of the lack of depth on the outside. He's been nothing short of phenomenal. And he was at his best last night. Last night was by far and away his best game. It was his stiffest competition of the season, going up. I shouldn't say that. He went up against Jamar Chase in week 2, but going up against the combo of Smitty and AJ is by far and away the best combination of receivers he's had to face in the same game, obviously. And he acquitted himself well. He was all over AJ Brown, didn't really allow him to make any real big plays in the past game, broke up a slew of passes, was just outstanding. And as the weeks pass, he continues to gain more and more confidence. And in turn, as fans, we begin to gain more and more confidence in him. And I hope that the staff sees what he's doing. And I actually have no doubts right now that the staff is going to ultimately make the decision to bench Benjamin St. Juice. Again, I'd like to know if Juice is actually, injured, or if they just decided they wanted to mix it up and put in Michael Davis in the game, because Michael Davis played quite a few snaps, as we all saw watching the game. But Sainristil was outstanding in this game, and I think he, along with Louie, right now feel like the anchors of the defense. Now we just need a guy on the defensive line to step up. You would have hoped it would have been Daron Payne, but it doesn't feel like it's coming. I think he's going to ultimately just be, a solid player, like a role player, which he's not being paid like a role player, but that's essentially what Daron Payne has turned into. Every now and again, he'll flash, make a play, but he just feels like a guy that's kind of fitting in this defense instead of standing out as a defender on this defense. So we need somebody on that D-line to step up, and it's been Dante Fowler Jr. this season, but he's on a 1-year deal, right? I expect him to be back, but Louie and Sainristil were standouts. Louie added 2 more sacks to his ledger. He now has 7 sacks on the season. He was everywhere in this game. There was this, discussion amongst myself and the Eagles fans about who was better, Louie or Zach Bond. Louie had the bigger impact in this game, but his team didn't get the win. So, it's imperative that if you want your players to get the recognition that they deserve, you win games, because it's easy to gloss over a guy that's having a tremendous season, but he's playing on a 4-13 team. No one's really paying attention to what you're doing unless you're some sort of superstar player, which no one on our team is that. Jaden Daniels has a chance to be that, but no one is that right now. So it was great to see Louie do what he did. He's now up to 7. Imagine that. We waited 18 million years for Chase Young and Montez Sweat to go over 10 sacks. And here we are in the first year of the DQ recalibration. And we may have 2 double-digit sack getters. Dante Fowler Jr. is sitting at 8.5 right now, and now all of a sudden Frankie Louvu's at 7. So it's crazy to me, but I digress. I also thought Jeremy Chin, led the team in tackles with 12 for the 3rd straight week. He's been really good. I want to also acknowledge his play as well. Thought he was really solid in this game. So let's go ahead and get to the snap counts from week 11. And we start with the offensive side of the football. 66 total snaps, as you can see. Andrew Wiley, Brandon Coleman, Nick Allegretti, Sam Cosme, and Tyler Biadasz, and Jaden Daniels all played all 66 of the offensive snaps. Zach Ertz played the most offensive snaps of the skill position players, which is a first. Normally Terry is the first guy, but I told you Terry was out of this game quite a bit, and I wonder if he's okay or if it was just preservation at that point. I saw the adjustment they made. They went to 12 personnel, but still, no Terry on that final possession. Maybe the Commanders saw what happened to Godwin in Tampa Bay and said, we're not putting Terry in that position to get hurt at the end of a game that we're not going to win, more likely than not. So I think they took him and Noah Brown out of the game and left OZ and Diami out there, felt like, for those last 2 drives. I could be wrong about that. But Ertz with 80% of the snaps at 53. And that was good for him to go back to the link, catch a touchdown, do all of that good stuff. Noah Brown, 51 snaps. Terry McLaurin, 47. So Terry's never been that low in terms of offensive snaps. He's always been the next highest guy after the offensive line in Jaden Daniels. So that's a bit of a twist there. Brian Robinson Jr., fresh off of his first game, 35 snaps. 34 for Austin Eckler, who was Mr. Do-It-All in this game. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. Olamide Zaccheaus, 28. De'Ami Brown, 25. John Bates, 20. Luke McCaffrey, 20. Jeremy McNichols, 11. And Ben Sinnott, 6. So I think that was the game where Ben Sinnott probably had the least amount of snaps that he's had all season long. And that's interesting. Interesting to say the least. Defensively, 71 snaps for each of the following: Jeremy Chin, Quan Martin, Frankie Louvu, Bobby Wagner, and Mike Sainristil. So essentially they're telling you who they can't live without on this offense right now. Noah Igbenogany played the most of the non-100 percenters, 57 snaps, which is good for 80. Benjamin St. Juste played 51 snaps. Again, he was being platooned in and out with Michael Davis, so it was interesting to see what happened there. Dortz Offshaw, 50 snaps, so 70%. Deron Payne, 48 snaps, 68%. Johnny Newton, 45 snaps. Cleveland Farrell, 31. Dante Fowler Jr., 26. Sheldon Day, who I also thought played really well. Who I also thought played really well. He had 34 snaps. Percy Butler, 20 snaps. Michael Davis, 20 as well. Fadarian Mathis, 19. Jalen Holmes, 19. F.A. Obata, 16. F.A. is cooked. F.A. Obata is cooked. I would like to see Javonte John Baptiste back in the lineup. So if he's fully healed from that hamstring, I'd like to see him practice this week against Dallas. the week leading up to Dallas and be active and send FA to the practice squad. FA can't run anymore. There were several plays where you could see he just doesn't have it from that standpoint. But really interesting with Benjamin St. Juste. Is there or isn't there an injury? If there isn't an injury, I feel even more confident than ever before that they're going to bench him when Marshawn Lattimore is healthy, because they're already experimenting with his position now if he's not injured. If he is injured, then that might force them to go with Marshawn Lattimore anyway, opposite of Frozone and the general. And if that is in fact the case, I think they'll find out that that's the best three that they can put on the field. So I think either way, we're kind of trending towards Marshawn Lattimore at one boundary corner and Mike Sainristil at the other, and Noah Igbenogany inside. Feel like we're getting closer and closer to that as these weeks pass. So despite the high snap number for Benjamin St. Juste, normally he's up there among the people who didn't get a rest in the game. For him to have played only 51, like Noah Igbenogany played 57, Mike Sainristil played 71 snaps. Benjamin St. Juste should be up there in that neighborhood somewhere, whether it's on the low end at 57 or the high end at 71. He should have been somewhere in that mix, but he's not. And so I think that's something to keep an eye on a little bit later on down the line. But anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. Boy, this rest, I need it. I need it as bad as the team does. And I'm going to enjoy it. Question, are any of y'all going to watch the Tyson-Paul fight? I had no interest in it, but it's on Netflix. I've already paid for Netflix. It's essentially free at this point. Why the hell not? Y'all leave it down in the comment section. And anything else you want to add to last night's loss, leave it down in the comment section. I do want to end on this. I saw way too much discussion about Jaden and him not being, that good, or Cliff and his play calling. And I don't know where you stand on that, but I'm not ready to hit the emergency button on either one of those, situations. Not even remotely close to pressing the button on Jaden. And I'm damn sure not ready to press the button on Cliff. And another thing, you better enjoy Cliff. Like, you want to talk shit about Cliff? Cliff could easily get a job this upcoming offseason. So you better enjoy Cliff while you got him and stop bitching about what you didn't like last night, because it really hasn't been that bad. But I digress. You guys have a good one. Enjoy your weekend, and I look forward to chopping it up with you on Sunday night for Sunday Night Football overtime. Bengals and Chargers, and then we'll run it back again on Monday night, Houston Texans at the Dallas Cowboys. Till next time, you guys have a good one. Take care, enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you next time.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hold. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone.